So
for it.
here's what I have to say about that. I think that the problem lies in the fact that there is an umbrella that is placed on all of us that says every female is this or that. I love people. I'm very caring. I'm very empathetic, but you don't mess with me. I'm very logical. I will do everything that a man can do, maybe better. Sometimes not you, Calvin, though. Okay. So the issue I don't think is in that there are amazing women that can be empathetic and lead with that empathy. The problem is that that's what's expected, blanket. It's that when someone else comes along that doesn't have that same disposition, they're too loud or too strong or too opinionated or too bossy as a female. Whereas if you were a male, those are the expected traits.
Okay, cool. Now, since you mentioned those traits of being too bossy, too loud, or and what you said, what do you think is the most significant barrier to females being leaders? I'm going to ask Karen.
What are the barriers? I can answer this one.
No, the most significant barrier.
The most significant barrier is getting stuff done. The ability to get things done timely, correctly, and have everyone work as a team to complete the project. That is an issue.
Okay, now is that an issue that is perceived, or is it actual truth?
It's truth to it. It's truth to it, because I was in a position where there were two teams. My team was way more successful than the other team when I allowed my team to not only be independent, but codependent on each other. Okay. I made sure that my team, whatever we needed to know and do, everyone had the ability to do it correctly, and make sure that it gets done, even in the absence of an individual.
Okay.
And that it didn't go over very well.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Michelle, I think I'm up to you now. In your opinion, I mean, we know it took women a long time to get the right to even vote. It took African American people a lot longer to get the right to vote. But why do you think there aren't more female leaders?
Just to clarify a question, are you asking why aren't there more female leaders, considering that they can vote more?
No, not to vote more. Just in general, why aren't there more female leaders? I mean, when you look around it in a lot of areas, it's still a male-dominated world. Why is that, in your opinion?
Sure, I think that there are many factors involved, but one of them I do think has to do with some of the attitudes. And then I'm not saying particularly who, just that there's that cultural or expected notion of the woman has to behave in a certain way or fit into a certain box. And I'm in no way generalizing that, but I think that when a lot of times women are expected to be on the sidelines instead of sitting at the table, and then when they try to sit at the table, it's not well received or frowned upon, that does have an effect on that. But I think, I'm sorry, let me just get to the point. So there is the individual attitude or thought about how a woman, how sitting at the table is perceived by women, not just by men towards women. I think that there is the need to lean in, to not just sit on the sideline, and to reach out for opportunities, not just sit back and hope that something will get better. And I'm actually speaking for myself, I'm still learning that because I haven't fully figured out how that will work out in the world that I live in, where there's, internalized understanding of women is more likable if they behave in a certain way. And I think Heather touched on that earlier too, about, appearing bossy or not likable if you don't fit that certain expectation. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. So, Ansonia, how can you be a powerful leader as a female without alienating people or making them upset or unhappy?
You have to be inclusive. And what I mean by that is when I was a director of technology and I had a team of men as technicians, I wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same learning level. And unfortunately, I had to fight a woman to try to get the equality for the men that were on the team. But something that we forget here is that there are so many backroom deals that go on. Just to kind of piggyback on the earlier question you asked about women in leadership, there's so many backroom deals that knock women out, where people will have, and this includes women that are in leadership that will do this. If someone has a family obligation, let's say an ill family member, or a child with special needs, or a child that is in school, and unfortunately, you have to continually go to address that. That backroom deal that comes out is someone says, well, how do we know that they're going to be a good leader when they can't even be dedicated to coming to work 5 days a week? When 2 of the days last month, this person was out because of a family obligation. So that's what I consider a backroom deal. And so you have someone sitting in a room, sitting at a table saying this person is not suitable for leadership because we need that leader to be there 24/7. However, some people are not there 24/7 to do that obligation. In that sense, you have to be fair with the people that you work with. And sometimes it's difficult to be fair with people that you work with because someone who is either your superior, if you're not the owner or the top dog, shall I say, you have to comply with other people's rules, even when you're trying to guide your own team. It's like Karen mentioned, you're trying to guide your own team, but then there's also other outside entities that are interfering with how you process that.
So what I'm hearing is that there needs to be a systemic change. Okay, so how do you
Yes.
push for that systemic change around the ideas that may not be popular or maybe they're new? How do you push for that? Reverend Morgan.
I would say when you're given the opportunity, you reach back and you extend an opportunity to someone else when you're put in positions of leadership. Unfortunately, I've experienced that as well. That some of the I've been supported and promoted by male counterparts more than I have by female counterparts, and it really kind of is a crabs in a barrel kind of mentality. And unfortunately, if I'm really honest, that has been put up by men. To answer your previous question you gave to someone else, the people who the biggest hindrance of women in leadership is men. And I'll go there because I think we all can if we're honest about it, we can say we can agree. But I think if we and it's not that they're intentionally doing something to hurt us. It's they're afraid of losing power themselves. They've had it for such a long time. And the sheer thought of having to share power with someone else, oh my goodness, especially someone who for many times and for many generations has been considered inferior when the evidence supports the opposite. So I think it's a fear of losing power or position. And that's certainly what we're witnessing here with the confirmation hearing of Judge Brown.
Okay, Very good. And that leads me right into where I want to go. And this question is going to be for Amy. Do women in your profession have a hard time getting promoted?
Yes, it has gotten better though. So I do work in technology. So that's my specific profession. And I've been in this industry for roughly 15 years, and it has not, it's not equal by any means, but it has gotten better than it was when I first started. And I mean, I would work with clients who trying to think of how to quickly tell this story. Like, I knew that I could basically smile at some of my male clients and they'd be like, Amy, you know, like they didn't expect me to actually do anything, but they just kind of wanted to sit next to me because I was a young female. Like it was ridiculous. And I'm never going to get promoted, you know, off of that, because that was internally. The people that I worked with kind of were like, oh, you take notes. You know, I might be the project manager, but I'm the one that's requested to take notes because I'm, you know, one of two females in the room or something like that. That kind of extreme, what to me was extreme. I'm sure, you know, even before me, it was much more extreme than that. But that I feel like has lessened, where I don't really run into that particular scenario anymore. But when it comes time for promotions, I think to the point that's already been made, as a female, you are much more, you have to be like, hey, what about me? Hey, is anyone looking over here? Hey, I think I could do this. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe, you know, I don't feel like I feel like to Ansonia's point, there are often times where I've seen a role be created and you know that, you know, such and such guy is the one that they're thinking of for that role. Like, we created this new position, we're going to give it to Tim, just to pick a name out of the air. Whereas there might be qualified females, but it didn't even occur to somebody that maybe they could have fit into that role. So I think we definitely still have a way to go. But it's improving. And I think, to Reverend Morgan's point, the more that folks can reach back, the more that folks can be aware, I think it's incumbent, at least I feel like it's incumbent on me to help continue to push that forward to the extent that I can.
Cool. Thank you for that. I hope that it is getting better, because in another life, I had a background in IT as well. And there were some women that were technicians. We worked on, you know, different mainframe computers, systems, and they worked alongside of the guys, but all of the managers were men. So every computer platform, and we must have had about 15 of them, had a manager, and that manager would be a man. And as far as managers in the entire facility, and it was a huge building, there was only one female manager, and she was in charge of HR. All of the other women in the building, technicians, telecom, software, were all, well, none of them were women. So I hope that is changing. Who's up next? I'll just throw a question out there. Whoever feel they want to take it. And I'm going to ask you to give your answer in a minute or 90 seconds. Have you ever been so discouraged as a woman on your job or in any aspect of life that you just wanted to quit? Have you ever been so discouraged that you just wanted to throw your hands up? And Sonia?
Where you were eyewitness to it, there have been times when I have been pushing, and I know that I am the one in the room that could handle the task. But with so much pushback, I found myself praying to the Lord to help me to get out of that situation. So yes, I have been put in that situation many times.
Okay. Here's another throw out. How can women support other women in their organization? When you're going through the same thing, maybe you both are being suppressed or depressed